When you guys think of sprinting, like when you think of coaching sprinting yourselves, some of you have, some of you haven't yet or much. How do you approach sprinting yourself? Like if you're to teach somebody, you get a new kid in, you get a new person in, doesn't matter the age, what do you think of or how do you look at sprinting and how do you, yeah. I love it when people go, I want sport specific. Yeah. All right, you're land-based, we run? Yeah. Well, then it's sport specific. So I can run you in a straight line. So one of the things, now I come at this from a track and field sort of background, obviously. And sprinting is a huge component of any land-based sport, foot-based sport, I should clarify, because obviously cycling's on land. Doesn't matter. So running will actually be counterproductive to cycling. Cycling can help running in like just a basic aerobic piece, but the muscle adaptations actually are different for the same musculature. But from like sport-specific idea, if I can make them faster over 10 meters, over 20 meters, and work on top end max upright velocity, and I can work on acceleration, then that does have transference, especially at this age, where we're thinking kids, to their agility, to their change of direction, speed. So we can do a lot. And so trying to convey that message to people that from a sport-specific manner, everyone gets caught up that everything has to be sport-specific. And yes, you have your sport-specific skills and you've got your general adaptations. Obviously, everything that we do in the weight room here is general adaptations, and it's just GPP, it's general physical preparedness. It's not sport-specific anything, but there's transference to sport. As you grow, as you go up the pyramid, so to speak, and you get towards the pinnacle, everything that you do has to get more specific, but most people are so far from that you can throw rocks at them and they'll get better. Don't throw rocks at kids. Yeah, right? Like, you've got like your work capacity, GPP, SPP, and then your the actual sports skills. Have you guys seen this sort of pyramid before? From Bondarchuk is one of the main ones. But like as we go up that pyramid, like these two are huge and we just need to build a broad base. So most of what we do and control is in this sort of quadrant or this sort of block of the pyramid. The SPP stuff is like getting closer to sport skills, and it can still be in the gym, and then everything here is outside of the gym. And it's like on pitch, it's with the ball, could be without the ball, but you're getting technical, tactical stuff. When we think sprinting, everybody wants to, and coaches always want to, either one, include the ball, or two, it has to be change of direction. It has to be like agility stuff, and they have to be running through a million cones. But in reality, what we want to do is help sharpen the sword, and we want to teach them the skill. If we can get them to go forwards and we can break down those skills and how they change direction, we're going to focus mostly on just linear today. So if we think about just linear, like we want them to be able to get up to speed and we want them to be able to reach that top end and how they approach that. So certain postures and positions are what we're after. We want them to feel acceleration postures. We want them to feel sort of acceleration angle, right? So we want to do drills in this sort of position. And then when we're doing upright stuff, we want them to be more upright, max velocity stuff. This shouldn't be new, but it could be new. So when we're doing acceleration stuff, when we're looking at acceleration stuff, we're looking at this sort of angle and trying to maintain these sort of postures. So Derek Hansen brought this one up, or coined this one if you haven't seen it. The arms here sort of parallel with the thigh there. Front arm and shin are creating an up and down, and then the torso and the back leg create a hashtag. Just when you're in acceleration, you're just angled forwards, And then when you're in upright, it's the same sort of idea. It's just, this is rather than at an angle, we've now simply gone upright. So you can, if you watch video, you film somebody from the side, you can look and see what you're trying to accomplish here. I'm trying to get this shin angle parallel to the back thigh. I'm looking at getting my arms up. So rather than running down here, we're looking at creating bigger shapes to get into that position. And then on the, so shoulder, elbow, back elbow, that creates the upper line, thigh, and front arm are creating this bottom line. And so by creating those shapes, we're creating like the arms as like rudders or balances for the lower body. Oftentimes I see people stuck here and we're not like, this is a counterbalance to this. So if you're not getting the knee height, you're not getting the knee drive, we're trying to get everything up and balanced on the front side versus staying down and not having enough height on the leg to be able to drive with each step. So if I can get my leg up higher to this position, I can generate more force downwards. If I only get to here, I only get so much force out of it. So when I'm thinking about creating like stride length, you guys have heard stride length, stride frequency. So your speed is stride length times stride frequency. This is dictated by the amount of force downwards into the ground that I can create. The harder I strike down, not stomping, but like the harder I attack the ground, the more that I'm gonna be projected upwards. The longer I'm in the air, the longer that stride is. So like Bolt, for example, hits the ground at like 7 times body weight. His stride length is 2.4 meters. It's not that he's stretching 2.4 meters with his stride, right? Like he's hit the ground, he's in the air for that amount of time. His legs are able to recover, then he's able to hit the ground again and create that over and over. So he's got to be able to generate that stride length, he's got to generate force. And oftentimes people get caught up in stride length is I've got to reach, strike, pull, and then try to repeat. And so they have the hips are low, they're way out here, and the whole thing with sprinting is we want to get the hips higher. It's all about hip control and trying to rise and elevate. So if people are kind of sitting and running in this position, they're putting themselves at risk for injury for one, but they're artificially trying to attain this, and they're going to lose this. Their legs are not going to be able to turn over as fast. So the best sprinters are like stride frequency, 4 to 5 strides per second, and then striking the ground within that. So when we look at the A's that you brought up, A's are all about, the A run is all about stride frequency. So when we look at the march, we're looking at posture, position, we're slowing things down. That's easy. When we get to the skip, we're looking at building some elasticity, some reactivity. And then for the A run, we're looking at increasing stride frequency. We're trying to get them to learn how to turn their legs over faster and faster. So there's a reason why we do that. And we're trying to, so I'll use for like 10 yards, I'll look at like 25 to 30 strides within that 10 yards. So oftentimes I see people, either they're really sloppy with things or they're gonna be moving forward way too fast with things. And so they complete the 10 yards in like 10 strides or 15 strides or something like that. So when we go out and do it, I'll show you, but sometimes I'll just walk in front of them and be like a walking pace. So I want them to go faster up and down. Think like pistons or scissors or like a sewing machine, whatever they connect with. I've found that some kids now don't know what a piston is. So if you say piston, it's just, I asked one group, what's a piston? I don't know. Okay, cool. So I've been saying piston for the last like 20 minutes. No,
2 days ago.
no one knew what it was. Like,
When
so.
I asked them, they were like, yeah, I know. It's been a lie this whole time. Liars.
Sometimes they do know. I ask them, what is it? And they're like, they'll explain the thing in an engine, and I go, yeah, okay, great, you got it. Sometimes it's just like, so it's an important thing for cues, and one thing we'll go over with cues with Steve and whatnot later is just making sure that when you use a cue, you connect, yeah? So I'll use sewing machine, or I'll just do this. Move your legs, like just scissoring your legs really fast. You guys are doing this, and I want you to, so, yeah. And find ways to connect with however they think. So, yeah, with this, we've got stride length, stride frequency. I forget where I was going with this. Got off topic. What?
We're talking about pistons, the drills, and how we use them.
Yeah.
Yes. About A's.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So with the A's, do you guys know where they came from? Like where A's came from? You've heard of B's? Have you heard of C's? Yeah. Do you know which parts, or like what they are? Everyone's familiar with A, B, C? The A, B's, and C's were developed by Gerard Mock, Polish sprint coach. Canadians brought him over many years ago. But he developed the ABCs of running or of sprinting, and it's just to break down the running cycle. So the A is that knee drive phase, and so when we do a march, all we're doing is thinking, again, like pistons, it's up and it's down. With the B, that's where you see people work on sort of that snap down, and so it's the actual ground strike. People often butcher that one, and it's really sloppy. I don't tend to teach that one. I've seen Hammies go with it, and it's done usually super poorly, so I stay away from them. But that's what that's for, is it's trying to learn to use your leg like a whip. So I'm here, I'm striking down and underneath, and then the C is, after that has happened, is the recovery portion. So I'm just pulling my foot up underneath my butt, what butt kicks are supposed to be, but again are often butchered. So it's not that you're kicking out the back, it's I'm pulling up to come towards that A position to then strike again. So again, it's cyclical as I do it, yeah?
Would you, instead of B's, would you teach like dribbles? Or is that a whole other beast?
Dribbles are a whole other beast.
Okay, never mind.
And I like dribbles. Some coaches like them, some coaches don't. Every drill is a tool in your toolbox. And so when you learn drills, it's understanding why you're applying them, how you're applying them, and to whom you're applying them. Because kids are going to struggle with dribbles a lot. Most people struggle with dribbles. The idea of, it's like, it is. And Dan Paff does a really good job of explaining them. But the idea is like, he's using them as a posterior sling activation. So if you're not familiar with slings, essentially there's a posterior sling going down either side, back of your head, down to the bottom of your heels. And so as sprinters, we're often very tight and short on the front slings, sometimes in the oblique slings. So he's using these as a way to kind of teach the cyclical pattern, but also lengthen the backside because you're striking heel to toe. So because sprinters often spend so much time on the front half of the foot, the idea is getting some lengthening down the backside with some patterning that goes with it. But yeah, it's taking everything and putting it all together into one cyclical motion, and you can start with it as like gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, where gear 1 is like an ankle dribble, you're just going up and over the ankle. Gear 2 is like up and over the shin, and then gear 3 is full height. So again, trying to work on that pattern. With the A's, I'll use those as gear 1, gear 2, gear 3 as well. So if people struggle at a certain point, I'm gonna go gear 1, just ankle height. Gear 2, a little bit bigger, and then gear 3 as full height. So with that, why don't we go to the turf and let's start putting these into play, right? We don't want the brain on when we sprint. We want the brain off and just do. As soon as you start to think about complex things, it's like trying to do calculus while driving your car. Or look at your phone and drive your car. It doesn't work. So this is the chance to break down technique. This is a chance to think about your technique. And then when we get into sprinting, we reflect after sprints. We don't think during. That makes sense? And so that's kind of to Ace's point with the cueing is same thing. Like I'll look at 1 to 3 things that we'll look at in a sprint session and then just focus on that. Usually it's like move 1 rock. With this, let's just go in place. So starting position, elbows by your side, arms bent. You're kind of loosey-goosey with the hands and shoulders. And then let's start marching in place and see what that looks like. So with this, we're not picking the foot up underneath. We're trying to bring the foot up. Foot's kind of underneath the knee as I do it. And you're just coming knee to like hip height or a little bit less. So a little bit high there, Shayla.
Too high?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, and now keep that rhythm and let's go forwards, but baby steps forwards. Like half foot or a foot in front of the other. Other thing I see a lot of people doing is looking at your feet, check to make sure your feet are there. Your feet are still there. They haven't gone anywhere. Try to feel it. We'll just go to this line and then walk back. Good.
How'd that feel?
Great. Stiff.
Yeah, honestly
Stiff.
awkward, but yeah. Just don't move that way. Yeah, the power, yeah.
If this is cardio, you're in trouble. Yeah, I mean, when you start to think about these and you put yourself through it, it's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel awkward. Totally normal. And I'll reassure kids too, like this is normal, or adults too, doesn't matter. It feels awkward for everyone. So one thing that can help is once they start to get it, is start to move a little faster just in the up and down. You're gonna start to, by moving a little bit quicker, brain's gonna start to turn off a little bit. You're gonna start to have a little bit more fluidity with things and loosen up a little bit. Some people will stiffen up and try to move like a robot as they go, but loose shoulders, loose hands, and the movement, the action is just happening at the shoulder. It's easy. In front, I'm coming up to say like there's a plane of glass that cut me in half. I'm just coming up and I'm touching that and then back down, up, down. So I'm not straight forward. This is awkward and looks weird and feels weird, but also I'm not coming across the body here either. That makes sense? So I'm gonna get power from the shoulders. So let's start marching in place again. And let's start going forwards. Good. Okay, why don't we just stay here for now? So those of you that have gone through this drill with people before, what sort of things have you seen yourselves as coaches as like issues, movement issues? Shrinking, rotating.
Foot landing way up here.
Yeah,
Brakes.
yeah.
Being a fridge.
Being a fridge.
Toe. Yeah. Toes going like this.
Yeah, that's a common one.
Goosey goose. Yeah.
Just like limp noodle.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. All of those, yeah, so I feel like we've addressed some of those right now. This one, toe up, toe down. When I say toe up, kids are like, yes? I'm like, that was the opposite of what I said. So, so I'll get them to hold that position and then I'll go and I'll actually press down. They can hold onto my shoulder if they want, but I'll just push down and then that creates and they feel that tension here. And then I go, okay, and then I'll push on the toe. Same sort of idea, feel that tension. Oh, okay. The other cue I'll give is squish the bug underneath. So here I'm squishing the bug down versus out in front and pulling. I'm not trying to, for the older kids, scrape dog shit off my shoes. For the younger kids, scrape the bottom of my shoes. So I want to have that sort of idea of down, down, down. Yeah.
I learned from Ellie, what she had the kids do is like lift their leg up, have the toe flex, and then just kind of like dead drop it. And then kind of see where it lands in front of them, underneath them.
Yeah.
And then kind of get them to do that, especially if they're stepping up the front.
Yeah.
Nay,
The only thing that I would have there is now you're going, okay, drop it. There's no force coming down. So it's the idea of just like flopping to the ground versus strike the ground. So I'll show if footsteps are like they're too far out in front, I'll just go, I just want this. I just want baby steps forward, half foot in front of the other foot. Or the other thing would be, I'll stand here and go, don't get on the other side of me. And I'll just go at this pace. Usually they're pretty good. They start to do this and watch me, but that's fine for a time. They start to get the rhythm, and that's really what you're trying to get. So let's go to the A skip. There's two ways to do the A skip. There's one that you probably see in practice a lot is, yes? And then there's is there a difference? So let's try the first one, see what you feel. Let's try just that's all right. So first one is the traditional, damn it, I butcher these all the time. Yeah? The stance leg, it's going backwards on the bounce. It's the performer in you.
Yeah, it is, sorry. It's
So,
the extension.
yeah.
It's my landing. Okay, so smear the bug, or just squish it.
Yeah. Not scraping it.
Got you.
On yours, just getting out in front too much. Thinking more up and down. Again, with these being upright, we're thinking up and down as we go versus trying to get extension out in front of us. That's going to teach us to land out here and put us in a more compromised position. If we're out in front heel striking, just throwing brakes on, heels are slow. If we're just sitting in the bucket like you said before, and now we're learning to try to create long strides here, that's going to put hammy at risk when you strike the ground at that lengthened position. So it's about up, up, up. So I'll even use that as a cue, is just up, up, up. That's what we're trying to feel, is light and get off the ground. So with this one, let's try the other one and feeling a little bit more of a rhythm. I might go in front of you on this one just to, again, sometimes it helps the kids if they see it, because the rhythm is not normal. They usually do what you just did. So this is a new drill for them. So trying to learn the rhythm is like a slight double contact or almost double contact. And all you're focusing on driving up with the knees and the hands.
Are you trying to land both feet at the same time?
I don't even know.
Whenever I've done it, it's been more effective.
It's kind of a da-da. So, not quite.
Cut me out.
You guys did pretty good. So, what?
make a meeting in the mode and a mean.
That was good. With it, one thing that I see commonly is people will sit hips back and go from here. You guys have like any correction that you might use to fix that? Either a cue or something else? Yeah. So they're just kind of like, how would you fix that? Anything else? then you get into, that's gonna create more extension. Yeah. What about something external that you might use, like a constraint? Band around the hips. So that's one way with an external cue. Make the problem worse, and then they push into it. So that's one that I'll use frequently, especially people struggling. You'll see this with the A run and the skip. People will sit back and try to run here, and I want them to project the hips forward. So push into some resistance. So a little bit, you're gonna go at the walking pace. It's great from the coaching side of things. If it's just you in a one-on-one, then you can control how fast they move forward and get that cue. In a larger group, I would just go bands on each line, person behind, you're in tow. You went into position. Any thoughts or questions on that? No? So A run. Most people will think high knees. I will call them A runs or C runs because sports has butchered high knees and butt kicks. So everyone's like, high knees. And it's just like, they're off in their own world. So with this, if I call it an A run, it means something different. It means that we're doing a drill. Doesn't mean that we're just aimlessly going through warm up. So same sort of position as the A march. We're just focusing on moving the arms loose and fast and moving the legs up and down like scissors, sewing machine, pistons, something. So, quick. I think I kept it. So again, it's loose, it's fast. We'll start in place. I won't hold you in place long because this is cardio. All right, away you go, in place. And let's go forward. Legs are too long. Good, so hips forward, think tall.
I corrected it for like the last step.
How'd that feel? What might you see go wrong with this one? Yeah, gone. So for a demo, that would look like what else? Yeah. So one that I see commonly with soccer players are usually guilty of this one, or anybody else that does agility ladders. When you do an agility ladder, you try to get low and you try to move your feet really fast, right? So it's, and you sit and you start to like pull yourself into the ground. We're trying to do the opposite and get tall with things. So with this, we want up. We want them to stop sitting in the ground, and everything is up, 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 up. Yeah. So that's kind of like knee height, as well as arms will get short and they'll start in here, or they'll fold over, some sort of compression down into the drill where we want to focus on expansion upwards. Anything else you might see, might miss? No? All right. Quick side point on agility ladders. Thoughts and feelings.
If you like it, do it. If not, don't.
Side to that one. My favorite was Dr. Yesus gave a presentation on it, and somebody brought up quick feet and agility ladders. And I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. That's not the point. I just really like this story. And so somebody yelled out, quick feet, with regards to an agility ladder. And everybody was sitting down in the audience in the chairs. And he goes, okay, move your feet really fast. And he did in his chair, moved his feet really fast. And he went, great, how far did you go? Nowhere. Awesome, but you moved your feet really fast. So that's the point, is like, moving your feet really fast without the pattern doesn't make, like it, the qualities that you're going to get out of it, you'll get, you know, elasticity out of the muscle just from hitting the ground and working that contact. You get some foot contacts, that's good. But just knowing why you're using the drill is really important. So if it is quick feet for sport specificity, it's better done in the sport. If you're thinking about sprinting, no agility ladder is going to make you faster, ever. It's not going to happen. Can you use it for patterning, coordination, warm up, getting loose, something that's fun and different? Absolutely. So like, it's understanding the tool that you have and why you're using it, why you're implementing it, as to what you're going to get out of it. If it's to get speed, no. No, and if I saw Serena Williams do this, she already lost. So the point is, with the agility ladder, you're using it to get reactivity, you're using it to get some bounce, and so it's learning, and then being able to convey that to the athlete too is super important. Is like, yes, the agility ladder or ladder can be a useful tool, but just not mixing them up with this is going to create speed or this is going to create fast feet, which you need in your sport. We're using this, it could be a coordination tool, it can be, again, a warm-up, it can be, if they're heavy-footed, we're just getting them to move in and out, and it's just patterning, it's just some coordination again, and understanding how to move quicker. And we use them in speed skating all the time, and like incessantly, to the point where it made no sense. And yeah, you're gonna get more out of sprinting, out of getting faster over 10 meters, getting faster over 20 meters. And then from an agility things, you could use it certainly as like, it's an implement on the ground that you may be moving in and out of, but learning how to load, learning how to transition out of it, super important. And those are all things that we'll go over in like future agility sessions, but this is just straight line stuff. Yeah, anyways, aside on agility ladders. It's one of those things that could just, yeah, grind my gears. I think they're overused. They're a tool, but it's a tool in the toolbox, and everything is a tool in your toolbox. And so how you use it is really important. I think a lot of people get stuck in using things and not understanding why they're using them. And it's not necessarily the right tool for the job, or it's the right tool but used in the wrong manner. So just like learning how a hammer works, learning how your screwdriver works, using that to build the right thing at the right time in your house will build a better house. I use those as upright drills for upright speed. For an acceleration, I may throw a band around them and get them at that sort of angle that we want. We can also look at, actually let's go to the wall down there. Hands are just like slightly below my hand, but that gives me a plank posture that I want to work with. And so I can hold that position, and I may start there depending on the age of the kid or how well they move. I just hold that for 30 seconds. I may go, if that seems really remedial right off the bat, let's go left leg up. So everyone did pretty good there. Just go toe up more. Yeah, don't let me push you down. Yeah, create that tension, good. Holding there, and then toe up. There you go, yeah. Holding that position. So as you hold here, Eric, just elevate the right foot off the ground a little bit. So pushing through the ball of the foot more. Thinking longer and taller, good. Now, most of you are looking down at your feet. They're still there. Good, and then, okay, good, relax. Where do you feel that? Tib ant? Your butt on the stance leg? So when we're setting people up for this, we're trying to get them to actively push down. You should feel the butt, you'll probably feel that. Common one I get is hip flexor too on the up leg. Feel like kids are fairly weak. Most people are weak in that area. And the strengthening happens repetition, repetition, repetition. You build up that capacity of that tissue. There's obviously other things that we can do to help strengthen that area, but from a sprinting perspective, velocity plays some specificity in it, as well as the patterning of it. So driving that force up as we practice more and more, we're gonna continue to develop a stronger hip flexor. So people will complain and go, that hurts. Yep, it does. You can acknowledge it. It'll get better. You just have to do this more. So that's one. Then we can go into like a single leg switch. We can go into, so from a single leg switch perspective, you guys have probably all done it before, but I'm gonna drive. I may go on the coach's command. Big thing with this that I see go wrong is, and so they're loading to push off. So you can hold your hand over their head, and if they're bouncing too much, they're gonna smash their head on your hand, and you're just gonna tell them, don't hit my hand, don't hit my hand. Give them a little bit of a buffer, don't be like glued to the top of their head. Yeah, at the angle. So here, I may just hold my hand on their back too, or if they're really struggling, sometimes a younger kid or less motor control kid, I may, wait, this way. Female, this doesn't work. Male, it works. Hold the rib cage, low back, and just trying to get them like just above, like I'm on bone there, and then here, and I'm just trying to get them to hold that position. And again, open hand, like be cognizant, ask for permission first, but sometimes just the low back will help, and that just cues the hips to stay under. Sometimes just thinking long, I'll push them in that position first, and sometimes you have to push somewhat hard on the upper back, so I may use you. I may, if you round forward, I may just be here and like push up. Yeah, so I'm gonna just hold this position. When he's angled, it's me pushing down, so then he's gonna come up a little bit. Or fall over. The other one is gonna be moving too far forward into the wall, so as I do the switch, and then I get too close, or I start to go back too far. Just trying to hit the same spot in the ground. If you're outside on grass, it helps. Again, from a leg position perspective, another one is like, they're almost stepping into it, and it's like, it's lackluster. So I'll use like, break a stick over your knee. If you just, it's not gonna break, you just hurt your knee. So strike it, like hit. Or put your knee through the wall sort of thing. If they're a baseball player, a hockey player, they use a stick. Lacrosse player, break your stick. The other thing is just like more aggressive, more aggressive, more aggressive. You can think about pulling the foot off pulling the back foot off, striking the back foot down. So an image I use is the magic trick of pulling a tablecloth off the table and everything stays on the table. You got to do it fast. If you just pull it slow, everything comes off the table, right? So most kids, surprisingly, still know what that is and have seen that at least somewhere. So it's a connection. You can do double switches. You can do these standing too. Same sort of idea, or with the double switch, making sure that the bottom leg comes up to the same height as a stance leg. And then if they're struggling off the start, one that I like is the load and smash. So with this one, I'm gonna load the back leg. I'm thinking long from my hands down the back leg, and then smash, and I come up to that position. So I'm looking at driving into the ground, and again, smashing that leg through. So it's that idea of coordination, coordinated power.
When you move from isometric to, like, at what point are you switching to switches?
I'll usually go from the holds. I may go to a march next to just be like slow, and then they get that pattern, and then the switch will be next.
So like what cues you that they're ready for that? That's programming, or that's like.
Yeah, I should be able to get through that the first session. And also I want to get to sprinting. So I'll pick like a progression of drills that if that day is going to be acceleration focused versus max velocity, acceleration day I may start with single leg hold, 15 seconds on a couple times, and then go to a load and smash, and then some switches, and then we're going to do like a couple of warm-up actual sprints, and then get into sprints. And then if they're still struggling with it, I may go back to the drill, do a set, and then go back to the sprint. And that's the focus then, is taking that breakdown, okay, now go apply it. So again, the drills, like I tell kids that, or adults too, just because you're good at drills doesn't make you a good sprinter. And if you suck at a drill, that doesn't make you a bad sprinter. Drills are just there as a teaching mechanism. So if you can't get it, we're just trying to get, say, rhythm or coordination or bounce or foot contacts or get you to think about where your foot is. These are all important things, but whatever the reason is behind your drill, you can convey that. If you're watching the athlete struggle and they're getting super frustrated with it, I may just switch that drill out and put something else in or move on to the next thing. There is no point in frustrating the hell out of your athlete with it, because you're going to lose them by the time you get to the sprint. And that's more important. Drill is a teaching tool. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, I'd rather do more reps out there, get more quality reps in and practice it. When I teach sprinting, I'm not going to go at 100% every time. I'm going to just generally go at, like, I'll tell them 90%. Athletes always try to go harder, but if I give them a back off, then they have a chance to think about what they're doing a little bit. As soon as they start to force it, things go out the window. Technique goes out the window, fluidity goes out the window, they start to clench up, and as soon as you go tight, you're slow. The race is lost at that point. So loose is fast. We want them to feel it and then reflect afterwards. So I always ask after every rep, how to feel. If we make a change, how to feel. What do you think? Even kids, it's a point for them to start to learn how to look inward, and especially in today's society, we suck at that part. It's just not something that's taught. We're so technologically focused that we don't think about how we feel when we do things. So if I can connect with somebody and get them to start to realize what we're trying to accomplish, and that's over sessions. That is not going to happen day one, even with an adult experienced athlete. So it may happen, it may not, but that's generally how I would go through a session.
Are you aiming for?
The fastest people are those that can turn muscles on and off the fastest. So if you're thinking about it, you're already in your own way. And if you tighten up, that means your opposing muscle groups are fighting the ones that are trying to do the work. And they're not able to then turn off as fast when they need to and turn on as fast when they need to. So that's when tightening up is. You'll see at the end of a race, watching some of the guys race Bolt that are like right there but not quite there. You see him go, and then you'll see some of the other guys like start to. The first guy to look over in the 100 meters, he's already lost. He's already like, oh no, and like then he starts to tighten up, and you'll watch him start to like over-rotate, start to overreach for things, and he's trying to produce force. So he's trying to push harder, and the harder he pushes, the slower he's going to go. The bigger that gap is going to be, and the more likely that guy is probably the guy that's going to tear his hamstring. Because he's trying, he's reaching, he's pulling, he's pushing so hard, he's going, oh shit, I gotta beat that guy, I gotta catch him, I need more force, I need more power. So that's when that happens. It's always the guy in lane 1 or lane 8. Yeah, because it's faster towards the center. Right?